"I'll never stream again" is what the disrespectful streamer begged in a recent court hearing in Osaka, Japan. So it's safe to say we have quite the video today, and it's been quite a ride since this all started about half a year ago. Idiot streamer in the US goes to Japan to engagement farm for a stream, kicks things off by harassing people in the metro there, saying America's gonna drop another A-bomb on them. He then gets absolutely embarrassed by a bystander, then gets confronted again later on that night, runs away. The police then shows up, then he gets left off with a warning, gets punched, continues his antics, then gets punched again. He then goes to the police to report that, then he gets punched again. But he just keeps on streaming in a disrespectful way. He harasses women. When they deny him, he then starts yelling insults and derogatory terms at them, because that'll help his case. He then gets stopped by the police again, then let off with yet another warning. A bunch of Japanese streamers then show up to his Airbnb to get him to stop. He doesn't really take that seriously. He continues to get punched in the street, then finally makes an apology that was barely an apology and essentially just made more of a mockery of the Japanese culture. So then suddenly he gets scared for his life and actually flees the country. And then once he gets out of the country and he thinks he's safe, he then continues to mock Japan. Then about a month goes by and then he does the dumbest action of his life, which is return to Japan with a friend. And then they just continue the antics from basically where he left off. And this friend that he brought along is actually the friend we covered in the last video on the situation, because apparently he had a lot to say about him on his live stream where he essentially was laughing at him. I guess that just goes to show that when you're garbage to the world will just surround you with garbage. But speaking of garbage, I think we can all agree that spam calls are garbage. So how do we get rid of that garbage? Well, you need to combat data brokers, because we've all bought something on the internet before or signed up to some coupon and suddenly you're getting spam calls, emails, and physical junk mail, because data brokers, they take your information from various sites, wherever they can get it really, and sell them to the highest bidder. The only problem is there's just way too many of those sites that you're gonna have to email every single one a takedown request for your information. And before you know it, you'll be spending more time doing that than your full-time job. But that's where today's sponsor, Incogni, comes in, because they'll manage all of that for you. They'll scan the internet for your information and automatically send takedown requests. And then they'll follow up and keep on checking to make sure that you didn't get put back into the system. I've been using Incogni for a little bit over 2 months and it's already had 84 different data collectors take my information down. And that's apparently saved me over 63 hours of my time if I wanted to manually process all those requests myself. So I've definitely been feeling a sense of relief there's actually a solution to such a massive problem. But if you're dealing with the same issues, you can use code Atozy for 60% off your first year. For me, the service has been a massive win because the spam calls I used to receive multiple times a day, they've completely vanished. And sadly, that's just the tip of the iceberg for what these data collectors collect, because the crazier stuff would be your shopping habits, your address, social security number, and employment history. So if you think Incogni could help you can go to incogni.com/Atozy by clicking the link right down below. And without further ado, let's continue the video, because we have some massive news about this case. Johnny just had his first court date in Osaka District Court, and I am infinitely grateful one of you guys from Japan actually translated the articles in this case for us, so shout out to Chome. Because here we have an article from the news source Sankei. Nuisance streamer Johnny Somali apologizes under questioning, expresses desire to return to Japan in the future and will never video stream again. Interesting. Okay, so the US nuisance streamer Ismail Ramzi Khalid, known as Johnny Somali, made his first appearance today in Osaka District Court, charged with obstructing business in Minami, Osaka, by playing music at full blast while streaming video. The defendant Khalid, upon examination by the prosecutor, stated that he apologizes to the people I bothered. I will not video live stream again. I doubt that that's true. Maybe he's done streaming in Japan. Actually, hopefully he's done streaming in Japan after all that. Maybe he'll actually learn his lesson this time. Defendant Khalid stated in regards to the situation at the restaurant, I had been streaming my lifestyle all throughout the day. When the defense attorney asked why he didn't lower the volume or stop streaming when warned by the staff, he explained, I was focused on eating so I could leave the restaurant. That just doesn't seem true because we saw the footage. It doesn't seem like he was focused on eating at all there. To me, it seems like he thought he was pretty much invincible because Japan had still not really given him any repercussions from the months of harassment he did there. So he was just trying to get as much content as possible at the other people's expense. But it says the defendant also expressed words of reflection about his own actions, stating it was shameful conduct on top of expressing a desire to return to Japan again in the future. When asked if he would return to video streaming in the future, he responded, never. Khalid is indicted for forcibly interfering with the staff at the restaurant of Dontobori Chuo Ward in Osaka, which he visited at 1:30 a.m. on September 12th. He played music at full blast while live streaming, even with other customers customers and staff present. At his arraignment, Khalid said, "I do not deny that I live streamed. I regret my actions, but the sound came out automatically," denying the prosecution's accusations. I feel like that's such a BS excuse because he has a Bluetooth speaker connected to him. He can shut it off if he wants to. But at the end of the day, it's bad business for him to do so because if he starts shutting off the Bluetooth speaker, that could mean less people will be inclined to donate to him. Because the people donating to him, they want to send him the worst possible message to see how he reacts to the situation and how the people around him reacts to the situation. They want to get him in trouble. That's the whole game. But then we have another article from Yahoo News Japan that went way more into detail on what was said in court. And here it says, at the first hearing of Osaka District Court on the 19th of December 2023, defendant Khalid stated, "I do not deny that I live streamed at the shop, but the sound came out automatically." We briefly said that as well, but here he also denied the prosecution's claim that he was controlling the volume, which is BS because he has full control of the volume. He has full control of the speaker. Again, he can turn it off if he wants to. But the defense lawyer also argued there is no establishment of the crime. When very loud music was transmitted from the phone, the stream's viewers could provide voice reactions, which increased the volume. Therefore, it does not mean that the defendant was the one causing such voices and noises. That is such an interesting argument because he's the one there giving all of these people the platform to play music through him. Because again, at the end of the day, he can shut off that Bluetooth speaker whenever he wants to, but financially, he's not inclined to do so. During the examination, the video the defendant was said to have broadcast was played. From the public gallery seats, it didn't sound very loud, but we were wearing interpretation headsets and were at a distance which reduced the volume. Defense attorney, would you like to return to Japan? Khalid, yes. During defendant questioning, defendant Khalid expressed the wish that after judgment has been rendered and I have returned to America, I would like to come back to Japan. Defense attorney, in general, what do you think was bad about your own actions? Khalid replied, I believe I just had no regard for societal rules. Also, my own selfish actions for those things. I want to apologize. Would you like to return to Japan? Yes. Would you do the same things again? Never. But the prosecutor hounded the point that Khalid should have seized the broadcast immediately and turned down the volume from the beginning. If your purpose is going into the shop was to get a meal, then you should have stopped streaming to begin with, correct? At this point, yes, I think it would have been better to stop streaming. And you say the music and loud volume depended on the reaction of your audience. That's correct. Was it not also possible to lower the volume or stop it from the beginning? Yes. Okay. After the shop staff warned you, you did not leave, correct? I left about 1 minute after. You still continued streaming as you left the stop. I'm assuming that's supposed to be the shop. Yes, because I had already left the shop. So here it says the prosecution recommends about a 200,000 yen fine. And here Johnny says, I swear I will not stream. The prosecution closed by saying there is no room for leniency for dealing with someone so self-centered that their only motive is to entertain an audience for their own need for approval. Nowadays, disruptive live streamers garner a lot of interest and is becoming a significant concern to society. Punishment needs to be both suitable as a deterrent for others, recommending a 200,000 yen fine, which is something between $1,400 and $2,000. Correction, that is about $1,400. So honestly, that is a very small punishment, but you also have to consider how much time he's actually been behind bars in not the best conditions. But in his final statement, defendant Khalid said, I regret that it ended up like this, and I would like to apologize. Whatever happens in the future, I promise I will not be streaming or making video. I feel like that's just for Japan, because I don't think Johnny's the type to just stop streaming altogether after this. Like now he has a lot more eyes on him, so he's probably gonna want to capitalize on that. And that concluded the first hearing of the trial. The decision will be announced the 10th of January. And then they also mentioned in regards to the trespassing stuff and basically everything else he did in Japan on his live stream, they said currently the prosecution have chosen not to pursue indictment, but leaves charges on file if further evidence arises. And that is also interesting because they have all the evidence in the world because he live streamed everything. So at this point, we just gotta wait around until January 10th. It's definitely going to be interesting to see if that last part we mentioned will become relevant in the future again. After they give him his fine, will they re-arrest him on those charges now? Who knows? But I guess only time will tell. If there's a takeaway from this, don't F around and live stream yourself harassing people in Japan. Clearly, it's a terrible idea.